Hey, James, want to go get a treat?
Let's do it, man.
All right, let's go.
Hi, it's producer Nicole Denson, and today we're talking with James Straatman, VP of Product Development at Big Leap. James is a true digital marketing pioneer who has been ranking websites since 2007, having helped over 300 clients from local startups to Fortune 500s navigate the ever-changing search landscape. He's an expert in SEO and data analysis, but more importantly, he's a master at listening to client challenges and turning them into creative, high-growth strategies. He's also an amateur stargazer and a dedicated family man to his 4 boys. But today, his eyes are on the digital horizon. Back to the show.
Hey, just to tell you first off here, maybe I should have told you this before.
What?
My kids are all deathly ill with the flu, so hopefully I don't give it to you.
Oh, I just lost.
I'm joking.
Okay, good. I lost a lot of weight.
Well, that's what's going to save you.
Yeah, well, but it's not weight I wanted to lose. I'm at the time in my life where I don't want to lose weight anymore. Like, I want to keep it on, and otherwise I look unhealthy. My kids, my daughter yesterday is like, Dad, what's wrong?
What's wrong?
What happened? So, how was the holidays for you?
It's great. Yeah.
Did you get a lot done during the soft close?
Yes and no. I mean, there's always there's more to do, right? At the end of the day, there's always more to do. But yeah, I think it was a good balance, right? Spent some time with family and got some football in, so it's good.
So what's your favorite sport?
Basketball, I'd say. Yeah. Basketball is my favorite sport.
And you played it in high school.
Yeah.
Did
you? Yeah, like in junior high mostly.
Okay.
In high school, and then
You didn't play in college?
No.
Okay. I didn't play in college either. In case you were wondering.
Actually, I was wondering now. That's probably my number one question.
Badminton. Didn't play that either in college.
No badminton.
No badminton.
No racquetball.
No, but I did. When I was a kid, racquetball was the stuff in Colorado. It was like,
oh, it's huge.
Yeah, like,
it was everywhere.
It was like pickleball now, just different. Anyway, so what's new at Big Leap? What are you doing at Big Leap?
So what's new at Big Leap is really emphasizing brand in all of our performance marketing moving forward.
Yep.
And specifically, how do we get good at sharing narratives with our client audiences that resonate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Telling a story that matters, right? And away from the bias oftentimes that we, put on ourselves. If you think about a client, right? All of us have our individual stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very personal thing. I was raised in this area, I was told to be this person. I have this bias, or, whatever your conditioning essentially was, right, growing up. And we got to step away from that a little bit, right? We've got to take that mask, that metaphorical mask off, and step more into our truth, more into our authenticity, right? And that's really what brand lid's all about. It's about helping our clients understand, what it is that they're who they are, first of all, really at its core, and then, what it is that they're selling and how they can articulate that effectively through a compelling narrative in the marketplace, right?
Okay.
And so that's what I'm excited about with Big Leap right now.
What keeps folks from being able to do that? I mean, your approach to thinking about brand is certainly a psychological one, but also kind of sounds like a pretty personal one. So are there personal blockers with business owners, maybe,
absolutely,
or marketing folks from doing that?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest blockers, at least in my experience, is that, first of all, they don't give themselves permission, right, to think out of the box and realize, what if we did do something different? And this doesn't have to be, the brand, the company, the widget, right, that someone else tells us we need to design, right? In other words, if you think about marketing, taking a step back and just looking at a marketplace, right? Oftentimes the motion is, we've got to take a scalpel and carve out some opportunity for us, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, how do we be radically different? Again, stepping into our truth and authenticity with a story and narrative that that allows people to align to different, right? And it is really an opportunity for us as Big Leap to recognize how can we facilitate that for our clients. And so, yes, when you go back and you ask that question, where are people getting hung up, right, from just brand marketing perspective? It really is that first step of giving yourself permission to think outside of the box and to challenge some of those bias and assumptions, right? I'll give you an example, and this might be a little silly example, but my wife, she loves...
Who might watch this, so you got to be
Yes,
careful.
I know. Yeah, I got to say all good things, which there always are good things, right? Don't let her talk about me, though. It's always bad.
Oh, no, because it's her job.
Right,
Like, you don't know what's wrong with you, so it's her job to tell you what's wrong with you.
That's my bias right there. Yeah. So anyway, she teaches piano lessons, and she's done it for years, right? And, you know, especially here in Utah, you know, a lot of us are exposed to piano, right, or an instrument growing up. You know, mom and dad want you to practice and get good and have something to just enjoy, you know. Anyway, so she grows up learning how to play piano, and she transitions to, you know what, I'd love to teach how to do this, right? I'd love to help young kids learn how to play the piano and really enjoy it. And I don't know about you growing up, right, with piano. Were you told you need to learn piano or you need to learn an instrument growing up?
My mom was very much the Bushes learn an instrument, but I was fairly curious, so I learned piano. I got to the point where I could play like some Gershwin and some classical, but I tried saxophone and trumpet, and ultimately settled on guitar. But I never had the discipline to really practice when it wasn't something I kind of wanted to do right then, right? So.
Yeah, so take that experience, right? Put yourself back in, you know, those young boys' shoes. It's your parents coming and they're telling you, hey, you got to practice, you know, whatever it is, right? An hour a day. And usually it's, in terms of the experience for the kid, it's like, it's this grueling experience. Here's your manila folder, right? Here are the steps. Follow this theory, right? It's very like black and white, cut and dry, boring as hell, right?
Yeah.
And so...
somebody else's method.
Right.
This is how people are supposed to learn it. This is a tried and true way to learn it, and you're going to get to where you want to be with this.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's this pre-descripted, like pre-packaged, you know, step by step that everyone is going to have to do, right?
I like this analogy. I know where you're going with this. I like this.
So the difference here is that Kristen, my wife, recognized that the value that she could bring wasn't leaning more into the bias of that experience, right? Of, oh, yep, here's the manila folder. Here's how I'm going to help these kids learn the piano. But rather, what sparks different, right? What speaks her truth? The reason why she loves piano is that it's a creativity outlet, right? And she gets to play at the piano, which is different than learning how to follow notes. Here's what I mean. Improv, specifically, right?
Okay.
If you can learn to play a song that you like from the radio and riff on that, what do you think the delight is for the child, right? It's a completely different experience. And it takes this, oh, I hate the piano, to, wow, it's like, aha, right? It's this, I'm thirsty in the desert and someone just handed me a tall, cold glass of water, right?
You know, that's interesting. So I'm looking back now against this and how I was trained to learn piano, which was, I went through like the theory and the fingering stuff and blah, blah, blah. But when it came time to do guitar, one, I had to find the money to rent the guitar on my own. So I had different skin in the game. But two, like, I went and started getting lessons, and all he would do is he'd say, what songs do you like? And I'd say a couple songs I like, and he would transcribe them into tablature right there. So I didn't have to learn music necessarily. For like a couple early easy wins, but I got to play songs I loved and recognized, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing this song that I love and recognize. I didn't think I could do this.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. I was hooked for a good few years, and I looked forward to lessons. It's exactly the thing we were talking about then.
Yeah. And so when you're thinking about that, exactly, I mean, it resonates different, right?
Yeah.
Not only in terms of the kid, but also the parent, because now it doesn't become a fight to, hey, you've got to go practice the piano for, an hour a day, but it's, when can I, right? I get the opportunity to play something that I love and to learn how to do that better, right? And so when you, again, in this example, look at what she's done in the piano teaching marketplace, it's introducing something that is unique from a different perspective, right? Because she challenged the bias in the marketplace, and now she is wowing them with delight, right?
Mm-hmm.
People, they notice that difference and they can align to it because, again, it resonates, right? It's a different experience. And the beauty of that, maybe just the last comment here, the beauty of that is that you can build on that, right? It doesn't have to be this kind of cut and dry, like this is the experience of learning the piano, but rather it's a delightful experience. So it's fun. It's fun to see these kids go to the piano and, you know, just be creative. Yep.
So do you, so what are, I kind of asked this before, but I want to ask it again. What keeps business owners from approaching, because when you ask like a person that starts up a business locally here, right? Like I used to do a lot of work at BYU's Entrepreneurial Center, that iHub, right? And it's a room, it's a big room filled with all these college age kids, some a little older, that are driven by a lot of different things. Most of them have an assumption that they're going to make it big. And because it's an assumption, that's not really factoring into thinking so much, right? They're there because they want to do something that's never been done before. And I feel like folks start business to do something that's never been done before, at least the folks that I end up working with, right? And then somewhere along the line that turns into, well, how did other people do this? And it's usually when they get to the first real lean period,
Right.
or when they're faced with something that ultimately, maybe I'm answering my own question, but then like self-doubt creeps in. So is self-doubt the precursor to forgetting why you did this in the first place, and really staying true to that North Star or whatever, do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's one of the key things is self-doubt or the imposter syndrome, right? Oh, wait a minute, I've never done this. You know, who am I to do something different, right? Or to introduce a new concept, right? Or to challenge my own bias or, you know, that conditioning in the marketplace. And it is the fear of the unknown, right? It's that there's not a plan to follow and I've got to figure this out. And there's a certain personality that is, yes, more entrepreneurial, right? That can lean into that generically, right? But yeah, it is. It's this fear-based perspective that, you know, at the end of the day, there is no guarantee for anything. So why not?
Why not? You know, one of my favorite sayings is imposter syndrome is a harbinger of success. A different way of saying that is when you can't see the path, you're on the path. Right? It's when you can see the path that you're following somebody else's path, and that's all well and good for business. But and you know, I've had this conversation with myself for 4 decades. It's all well and good, but business is about driving profit, right? It's about capturing value and then delivering value at a margin that becomes your profit margin, right? And so, you know, I hear often, oh, that's all well and good or whatever, but we need to make our numbers this quarter.
Yeah.
So what's your response to that?
I think there's a couple of different responses, honestly, but I think the main one is that let's take a practical approach. You know, what reasonable amount of time do you believe you can invest into an idea before it has to be, right, profitable?
Okay.
And, you know, that's maybe a certain perspective to have is, can you plan that, you know, what's a good name for it? That stage of early adoption, right? That stage of, hey, I've got to introduce this concept and take it from its infancy into something of maturity, right?
Okay.
In the marketplace. And I know as a business owner that that's going to take a certain amount of time, right? Can I invest that amount of time or not, right? So again, it's like, let's unpack that uncertainty and put some parameters around it, right? And maybe reframe the way you think about it so that you can design an approach or a method, right? A plan, in other words, that can be effective for you, right? So I think it's...
So you're not waiting for it to just hit tomorrow or today's the day, the day, but you have You've created a framework that gives you a runway. You know what the runway is.
Yes.
You have a pivot plan. Here's a different question, though, and because I thought about it, I'm going to just be cutting you off. I'm a terrible interviewer. Like, so...
You just shut up and let me talk.
It's just Coby. Like, it's not about you. But it is! Just kidding. So one side of the coin is remove the mask, remove the ego, and just, have a little faith in yourself and go and do. The other side is remove the mask, remove the ego, listen to the market, and pivot when appropriate.
Right.
And knowing when to do when,
Yeah.
that's, I think, what makes an entrepreneur successful.
Yes. And just building off of that, part of again, I said there are multiple answers here, right? Hence, again, every scenario is unique, yes. And every individual is unique, right? Every business. But what is universally true is part of that removing of the mask is learning to trust your gut a little bit, right? Because that speaks to intuition. And the best compass for future success is your intuition.
Okay.
And that is an opportunity for anyone involved in marketing, business, life, right? And I think if you can have, and that's the trick, right? If you can develop enough trust in yourself to be able to do that more often than not, then is there anything preventing your success, right, in the marketplace?
I would imagine that if you can really achieve that, then a lot of the I have to be right goes away. If you really are in tune with that, and really driven by a why that is greater than I have to be the best at this or world leader in this or something like that. But when it's I don't even know the right word to use here to describe it, but when you are in tune with that, I feel like you probably lose a lot of the need to be right or the need to prove certain things. Maybe you let go, you can pivot better, you can keep an ear to the market better, and be more appropriately reactive to the data that's coming in and how to treat that and what to do about it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and what's interesting is that, there's a level of comfort here that as you continue to do this over time, and you can fail in micro ways, right? I think that's another point, honestly, as well, is this fear of, if I do this and I invest too much, then I'm going to fail and everything's going to go bust, right? Why don't you just bake in from the very beginning
that you're going to fail?
Yeah, an opportunity that failure is part of the process. So let's design around that.
Yeah.
And it's not just one big failure, but why don't you design those micro failures, right? And lean into the uncertainty a little bit with, intelligent failure. We've been talking a lot about that at Big Leap as well, which is how do we do that on a micro scale that allows us to have the insight that we don't necessarily have today.
So for a business owner to be able to do that, though, they have to have confidence in two things. One, that success is just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Which is such a tough lesson, but I think most folks. So I'm going to say this a different way. I think what marks maturity, emotional, financial, business operating maturity, is the moving from a finite game mindset to an infinite game mindset. In other words, there is no endpoint.
Yeah.
There's a horizon, but there's always after that. And so now, instead of, I want to do this for 5 years so I can quit and go to Tahiti, now it's, in other words, fall in love with the process, not the outcome. Right?
Yeah. Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. I think that is probably the delineator between ultimately what can make a great entrepreneur and what can't. Notwithstanding the thing I said before, because I think that's the actual attitude shift that there is.
Yes. Yeah. There's this prescriptive patience that's needed, right?
Yeah. I like
and
that.
So 100%. And again, going back to that idea of enjoying the journey, right? I can find comfort in that, as opposed to, yes, to your point, success is some end goal of, I've retired on Tahiti, to, hey, you know what? I can find value in the system of doing it as opposed to the outcome, right?
Right.
And that can be essentially to enjoy the journey. But like for my wife, going back to that example, right? She finds joy, 100% in the kid that is learning the piano, right? And the outcome is that they've learned a cool song, right? And they can riff and enjoy an experience, right? But part of that is seeing their faces light up, right? When they are introduced to this idea of, guess what? You don't have to lean into the manila folder here, right? Or the manila, piano instruction book. You can
Be self-directed.
Be self-directed, carve your own way, right? And it's not someone dictating to you, but rather that intuition telling you where to go. Yeah, so it's fun because I think that that's kind of what's missing, right? In general within marketing, it's like, we've very much, especially Big Leap, that we get so focused on time and place, right? And the last few years, it's been all about performance. And so you see this shift in the marketplace of leaning into more of the brand perspective. And our flavor of that is exactly what we're talking about right now. And it's exciting because, again, it is the enjoy the journey. It is finding value in the day-to-day and not always in the outcome.
I have a question. I will order this, and then I have a very specific question about all this. So, James, where are we going today?
We're going to Sodalicious.
Okay. And why Sodalicious?
Why Sodalicious? Because there's a drink there that I love called the Southern Gentleman.
Tell me about the Southern Gentleman. It's the first time you ever had one.
I am from the...
You are?
I'm a Utah County boy from the South. No,
okay. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, if you had a little of this side...
Yeah, if it was grown and I, twirled it up a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe one of those, what do they call the
hair coming out?
No, the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, one of those bow ties.
Like the bow tie thing, yeah. You know what? That'd be a good look for you.
It would. I already know what my Halloween costume is going to be.
Oh, you should totally try it. You should do it. White. I bet you could pull it off.
I could totally.
How tall are you?
Not tall enough.
No, seriously. You're 6'4".
Yeah, 6'3". Yeah.
Did you play ball?
Yeah, I did. A little bit.
What did you play? You probably played center. Did you grow early?
Yeah, early. So 6'3", right? In the NBA is point guard, right?
Well, sure, but in high school.
Yeah, in high school or even in junior high, it's you're playing power forward or you're doing point guard a little bit, but it's mostly center. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, so when's the first time you had a Southern Gentleman?
Southern Gentleman. A couple of years ago, I think, when Sodalicious first started rolling here, right, opening up in Utah and County specifically, and so that was the first time I had it, but it's Dr. Pepper. So my favorite drink is Dr. Pepper. So that's the real why. Yeah.
Okay. What do they put in it?
So it's peach and coconut.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I've never been to Sodalicious.
Yeah.
I've never had a Southern Gentleman.
Well, you're about ready to have.
I'm about ready to have a Southern. Can we start talking in a drawl when we have it?
Yes.
I'm going to do that.
If you don't do that, I'll be disappointed.
Okay, I'm going to do that. All right. And we're going to have a good combo on the way there too, huh? Okay, good. All right. Sweet.
Okay.
Let's do it. So, I have chased greatness my whole life. I, growing up, believed that greatness was not only inevitable, but was my right. That was informed by how I interpreted my religious training. That was informed by, which I don't find the religious training at fault at all, just my interpretation of it, nor do I find my parents' fault or anything. It was just my interpretation. It was informed by how I perceived my abilities against those of my peers. Again, very myopic and biased. And when life took a turn, as it is wont to do, I found myself in a situation where I wasn't going to achieve the things. And I found myself being jealous of those I felt that were on the path to doing it.
Yeah.
And then I started chasing, well, what is the path to achieve greatness? Exactly what we're talking about. And even though my whole career I'd been in this place where I would talk to people about what you're talking about and take the same perspective. And then I read something that changed my life. And it said, stop looking for meaning. Stop looking and trying to create greatness. And just try to create moments.
Yeah.
And if you just spend your day creating moments, I'm getting emotional. You'll look back and realize that every step was great. And I thought, boo, yeah. So, making people laugh, making people feel seen, I'm not any better at it, but at least now I know I'm bad at it, and I've got something to work on.
You know your baseline, right? Yeah, no, that's so true, and it's
That is good. That is
Good?
really
Yeah,
good.
that is good, right?
That is good. I mean, that is a lot of Dr. Pepper. I feel like I already have a hard time like acting appropriate.
Dude,
This is not going to help me.
Yeah, this isn't even the hard stuff, right?
I know. It's really going to make it great. A little bit of Southern comfort in there. I'll let you know how that feels.
All right, yeah.
Or how that tastes.
That's one of your moments right there.
Right there, moment of great. Well, moments of greatness are a lot easier when you're drunk or whatever. Anyway, I'm just kidding. So, okay.
One other thing, really quick on
Okay.
that. So it's interesting because my dad used to say this, and I guess fewer words, just his own version. But how is a man or woman? How is a life great? Right? It's not in like one major experience that that's what made the life worth living. It is in these moments, right, over time, and that's honestly a great way to look at it as a business owner, a CEO, right, a marketing director, anyone that's trying to do anything with something, right? And that is that how can I engineer my plan, my process, so that I am winning those micro moments over time, right? And you make it you take something that could be a huge, colossal lift, right? And you break it down into some individual parts that you feel more confident and comfortable with. It only engenders, right, confidence. As you fell on your face a little bit, right? Just looking back in life, right? Did you not develop more confidence in the next time you did that thing? Absolutely.
Yeah, it didn't kill me.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
What's
that
the
didn't
worst
kill
that
me.
can happen?
Like, not even as bad as I thought. And this other point. So when you said like engineering, whatever, like we speak a lot of the same parlance and whatever, but those moments, like for me, and I've said this before, I love to ask the question, what is the highest purpose of business? So I want to ask you that question. I know that we're going to have the same answer, so it's kind of maybe pointless, but what is the highest purpose of business?
It is allowing people to live their own dreams, right? It's a motion of service and becoming, again, going back to that, enjoying the journey, right? And maybe less to do with, the dollars and cents outcome, right? Because again, the concept here that we're really defining is that if you lean into that intuition, right, remove the bias, remove that mask, and speak and embody your truth, your authenticity, then if you do that, right, and you remove the confusion of your ego, then the outcome is profit, right? If that's what you want it to be, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, I love that. So, practically, what does that look like? I'm going to just add, we're super practical. What does that look like with somebody who has some value that they believe in, that creates some impact? Let's say they're $5 million gross annual sales. Let's say it's not on a subscription model. It's called a product company, right? And it's a one-time product. Maybe there's some follow-through opportunities, but they make a fairly one and done kind of product. I'll throw one out. Cold plunge tubs, high-end cold plunge tubs for $1,500, right? Okay. And right now they're engaged almost exclusively in trying to identify those who are doing the search for cold plunge tubs, right? And they're recognizing that there's $200 and $300 and $400 options in the market that are pretty popular, and people are finding him, or maybe people aren't finding him. He doesn't know, but he's engaged in some performance marketing stuff, and he wants to go in the owner wants to go in a different direction. What's your recommendation there? Like, what is practically, how do you apply all this stuff?
Yeah, so I think practically it's really starting.
And by the way, this is not contrived. I totally made that up. I mean, I didn't plan this. I totally made that question up. Right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting part of all this is that you've got to start at the very beginning, right? The very beginning is what we're talking about. Practically what it is that you're actually selling, right? And who you're selling it to. And so you can't begin to answer that question unless you have a very intimate knowledge in, who you are and why you're interested in what you're selling to begin with, right?
Yeah.
If this individual
Right.
is buying or selling the product of cold plunge, tanks, whatever, then why
At
is it
$1,000 more than the nearest
$1,000
competitor?
more than the nearest competitor? Why is that, right? And what gives them the audacity to think they can charge more? And that's where we begin. It's really understanding, unpacking that perspective, which is unique to the individual, right? Whether that's the founder or, the concept owner, and that's where you begin. And once you clarify what it is that is the authenticity, right, being brought to the marketplace, then it becomes a simple motion of, okay, who is the audience? Let's do the same exercise of understanding those behavioral drivers, right, and how we can apply an effective narrative into the marketplace, and then the vehicles, the channels, right, that we incorporate that type of messaging, again, from a place of discovery and authenticity, and doing it in a way that allows you to, yes, from a performance channel, still be profitable, but with that window of time, right, we talked about earlier.
So you're just, what I'm hearing, to put on my dad hat, what I'm hearing is like, it's not don't do SEO, for instance. It's recognize like where that fits in and lead with these components that you're talking about. In other words, if you recognize you have you're solving a problem that is more than just somebody needs a tub of cold water to dive into in the morning, because a $200 version of that is going to suffice just perfectly. That what other itch is being scratched with a $1,500 version of that, and recognize that, okay, that informs the buying process, the decision-making process, where these people are looking for, this kind of thing. If they're even somebody in the consumer motion that is going to look for this or do a search for this, maybe getting to them is, you have to get to them through a different channel or whatever. But if you start with that is going to show you which channels to use, which you can still optimize and measure and improve over time and everything. But you got to start and put the first things first.
Yes, first things first. Yeah, you're not putting the cart before the horse, right? If you don't have, again, going back to the very early part of our conversation, if you don't have a compelling story and narrative that speaks from a place of personal truth, then what are you doing, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's as simple as
You're running somebody else's business operation.
Right. I mean, let's just add some color to this picture a little bit, right? If you've got this business owner or operator that has this cold plunge tank, why is it that he got involved? Maybe it's because, the health benefits. Maybe he was someone that didn't have the mobility late in life, and this, revitalized his ability to live and be a father to his children, right? Or
so there's a personal story now there that gets sold.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that quite simply, brand is a way for us to scale relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't understand what relationship you're trying to scale, then you've already failed, right?
I like that. I like that take on that a lot. That's good.
So the personal narrative, people don't buy from brands, they buy from people, right? And so if we know that narrative, again, that's why this whole concept of going back to speaking your truth matters so much, because once we have clarity there, then the world is our oyster, right? And we can apply those channels, whether it is SEO or paid or email or text or whatever it might be, whatever vehicle we're using to deliver, right, our message effectively to the marketplace within either awareness through evangelism, that bow tie. Then I mean we're speaking from a place of core truth that can't drive us wrong.
So I love that. I had a thought. You've heard the medium is the message.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first in the one marketing class I took that I got out of after 2 weeks and decided to go back into engineering. And during that time,
for 2 weeks,
for 2 weeks, my 2-week formal marketing education, I heard the medium is the message.
Yeah.
And it was applied to, it was actually, I forgot who coined that. I want to say it was like David Ogilvy or something like that, right? Was it David Ogilvy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at
there's another quote I got to tell you from him that I love. So,
okay.
Yeah, keep going.
I think it was applied to television.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And of course, the thinking is, it doesn't matter what you say. All it matters is that you're on TV,
Yeah.
and that communicates all the things necessary in order to break parity and
Yes.
be the subject of choice, or be the provider of choice.
100%.
I feel like for a long time, I feel like that reality is true of any emerging communication platform. So it wasn't true of broadcast; it's true of everything.
Yeah.
Interesting side note: in since Kennedy, the winner of the presidential election has always been the candidate that best uses the most recent and emerging communication technology.
Yeah.
That holds like.
Yeah, it's
Like
true across the board.
It's true across the board. So it speaks to that, right? So Google search, the internet, I think the day of the internet, the day of Google as the indexer of knowledge and information is now over, right? And what we're seeing is the emergence of something that we don't really know how it's going to operate and on what platforms will operate still. But the whole, I'm in SEO, I'm doing SEO, that worked for a lot of time because it was the medium. It was like, it didn't matter what the message was, you're
Right.
in the medium. And this return to brand is a return back to message until, honestly, some other thing pops up and then it's like, oh, you got to be on this. And the fact you're on this, that's where everybody's searching, that's where everybody is, that's where, like, and for a bit of time, maybe message isn't quite as important. But for the next 2 or 3 years, especially, message is king.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's interesting about that, and maybe just going back a little bit to what we were talking about before, and there's an Ogilvy quote that I want to share as well that I think is very impactful here. Yeah, there's a lot of noise in the marketplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different channels. And how do we sift through the noise and find the signal, right? Like you can share, again, we can go, right? Going back to our example, we've got this cold plunge tub, right? We can talk about its function and features, right? And do that all day long. And maybe, a surface level benefit list, and we can use, SEO, PPC, whatever the channel is to distribute that message. But again, is that adding noise or signal to the marketplace? In other words, is who you want to have as your customer really listening, right?
Mm.
And are you influencing their behavior? And that's why I'm suggesting that the best way to influence behavior is to go back to your truths, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And what's more is, look, the audience, they're sick and tired of noise, right? Ogilvy, and this is the quote, said famously back in the 50s, 60s, he said, look, the customer is not an idiot or not a moron. She's your wife, right? So the marketplace is not dumb. They can feel, right, intuitively that what you are sharing and the truth that you are communicating, if it resonates or not, right?
Alive and genuine.
Right, exactly, if it matters. And if it doesn't matter, then you got to find the story that does, right?
I love that. It's been good.
Yeah, this has been great, man. Yeah, this is fun.
Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. The Southern Gentleman's a freaking hit.
Yeah, that's good, man.
This is the best ever.
Good stuff.
Uh-huh.
Put a little Jack Daniels in that.
A little yes, right? That's what I'm talking about. So Sodalicious, again, when's the first time you ever went there?
Oh, man. Maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Okay,
Like
and
my kids,
And it's been the Southern Gentleman the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much the whole time. Maybe Mountain Dew every once in a while.
Yeah.
Right? But
What's the Mountain Dew one that you get?
I don't even know. It's like Mountain Dew and what do they have in it? It's a citrus. I don't know.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's like there's so many combinations. You can just go up there,
Yeah.
put a little squirt of whatever you want in there.
Which is your favorite one to go to?
Probably the one in Springville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down there. Yeah.
Sodalicious, Springville, Southern Gentleman.
Yeah.
All S's. It's easy to remember. You should do it.
SSS.
SSS. All right. Take it easy.